Yesterday, one of the hottest cryptocurrencies in the entire space, Amplforth, went through a capitulation cycle almost on a level that I have never seen before. The crash on Amplforth took it from over $700 million in market cap to well under $250 million, losing 75% of its value in what felt like moments. Now, to understand exactly what happened, we need to understand the exponential gains that had been coming out of the project for the weeks prior, and of course the way the tokenomics model is structured to have both booms and busts on a scale that I think is even brand new to crypto. So today we're going to be talking about the forces that created this Amplforth dip, the way in which I've been handling my own stack of amples, and what I believe the outlook for this project is going forward, some things that you should be keeping in mind, especially if you're part of the Geyser, which is their staking pool on Uniswap, and just giving a holistic overview of the project now that we've seen this thing dump. So if you guys are excited to dissect this Amplforth apocalypse, do me a favor and smash that like button. Now, I made a video 2 days ago called Millionaire Mindset. Most people won't do this. And essentially what I was talking about is during bull runs, macro bull runs, when all of the majors and the cryptocurrency markets are all showing bullish signs. For example, over the last 3 months or so here in crypto land, what is a traditional bull market strategy is to buy the dip. Buying the dip essentially refers to a great way to enter or to buy an asset that has been bulling. So when it revisits any kind of local lows, that's a better entry point than essentially buying at the highs. When things are all up and everything looks invincible, that's usually when you want to be selling. And of course, the emotion with most people is to buy something that looks invincible and to sell something that looks weak. When in reality, you should be buying something when it looks weak, when others are selling, and also sell it when others are looking to buy. That's what puts you in control. Now, I tried to explain this, of course, and I used the example of Amplforth because I do believe that their tokenomics are interesting enough, compelling enough, that if we are to experience a big normie wave of new investors, that they will really be excited by the daily rebasements, essentially feeling like you're getting paid just to hold the coin. Now, over the previous weeks, the daily rebasements in Amplforth were literally in excess sometimes of 20% per day, and that's not counting the actual value of the token growth. So any kind of TA can kind of get thrown out the window because there's too many new dimensions on this coin to really deal with. But I did this coin where I really go over Amplforth about 6 days ago, and then 1 day, or I guess 2 days ago, I did this video called Millionaire Mindset where I talk about buying the dip. And of course, the point of this video was to say when things get very bloody, when things look very weak, that is your best opportunity to buy. And of course, what happened after I put this video out is that this thing went and dumped onto infinity. And so it really begs the question, what was going on and what caused this dump? Was the price just that overextended? When I put up my original video, I thought it was already extremely hot and it was about 250 million in market cap. And remember, market cap is pretty much the only thing that matters here because the actual supply changes. So the token price is not as relevant as the market cap because you could have a lower token price with way more tokens in your wallet depending on the fluctuations of the elastic supply. So this thing exploded up, doing about a 3x, 300% growth. And in that time, the gains were truly exponential because the token price was high and the amount of tokens in your wallet were surging. But yesterday, we got the first real dagger. And we still have yet to experience what's called the negative rebasement, which is the supply can both expand and contract. However, we're going to be talking a lot about that a little bit later. I still believe it has some serious legs, but after I'm going to go over what I'm going over today, you'll see my strategy going forward. Quickly, these memes turned to these memes of essentially the black hole, which is to say that as Ample goes under $1 in price, and right now Ample's price is sitting at about 75 cents, as it's under $1, the protocol automatically removes supply from everyone's wallet at equal proportions to your holdings. You essentially own a percent of the network. And so to get this to bounce back up to $1, they're gonna remove supply. And the way they do that is with a formula that essentially says they calculate the distance between the current price and the target price, which is $1. So in this case, it would be 25 cents. And then they will rebase based on the difference there. So they essentially have a 25-cent distance to cover. And so they're going to be rebasing at 2.5% if it stays like this. And this is the average weighted price. I don't know what the Oracle is going to show as the average price because we do have over the last 24-hour period, prices above $1, prices at like 90 cents, prices all over the place. So I don't know what the average volume weighted price is going to be, but let's just assume it's 75%. It looks like you'd get about a 2.5% rebasement. As you understand this, you also understand that the price can only go down 99%, but it can actually go up hundreds of percents. The upward price rebasement can be orders of magnitude more powerful than the downward price rebasement. Let me repeat that. The upward price rebasement can be orders of magnitude more powerful than the downward price rebasement. Because even if this thing went to 1 penny or less, whatever, then you'd essentially have a 99% loss, which structured over a 10-day period would mean that they'd remove about 9.9% or 10% of tokens from circulation. Never 10, because you can't lose 100% of the value. It never goes to zero, right? If we look back at the price chart, over the last few days, over the last few weeks, we see prices of almost $4. Now at $4, you essentially have a 300% difference between the target price and the current price, meaning if you were to stretch that over a 10-day period, you get 30% rebasement each day. So you can rebase upwards of 30%, 20%. We've seen this multiple times over the last month, and that's why there was so many new coins in the system, and so a dump actually does make sense. But it's important to realize that this negative price rebasement is a little bit slower moving, and chances are if it's between 50 cents and $1, that it's never really going to go above 5% per day, which in crypto land, a 5% loss per day is not that crazy, especially when you're buying an asset that is supposed to make its way back up to $1, which I find funny because really, although there are negative rebasements here and that psychologically is damaging, the reality is buying something that's supposed to go up 50%, that's supposed to go up 33%, but you have the chance that over a few days, it will have a very small percent per day debasement. That to me is an equation where, obviously I was talking about buying the dip yesterday. I didn't see the death spiral coming. I don't have a crystal ball. But if you were in my Telegram and you were communicating with me directly on Twitter, which I encourage you guys to follow me on Twitter and join my Telegram, you would have seen that I was throughout the entire night eyeing different levels and buying in at the different levels as we went down. The more that I could weight my coins with these cheaper AMPL, the more I can drag my initial price down of each AMPL in my stack. And as this thing eventually makes its way up to $1, which I believe it will because there's a history here. So we see back here, when it was first off ICO before I think it really was active, it went under $1 here back in last year in 2019 when the market was really crashing. I believe that was when the market really cooled off that Bitcoin bull run. Then you could see it pops up and below $1 here for many months. And you can see it goes under and over and under and over, pretty much ebbs and flows. And here you see again, it starts to bull right before the, of course, big crash during coronavirus, which really interrupted its mojo here, but it crashed under down to 53 cents and it popped back up again. So somewhere around 10 days, right? 10, 11 days for it to pop back up. And this was during, the peak of the FUD of Corona. So who knows if this was actually organic, right? And then we have a more organic drop here during May where it dropped down to 90 cents for a couple of days and popped back up. And we see it did it again here in June. And now we're looking at the first time it's been under this rebasement since, of course, this incredible spike in the chart, which somebody aptly pointed out, kind of looks like the chart's giving its holders the middle finger here. That's certainly how it felt. But regardless, you can see it has a history of going under and getting back over that dollar figure. In my opinion, I think this project is well developed enough. Even now, its market cap is 280 million, which is 40 or 50 million more than when I first checked it out just days ago. So although it feels like this thing has really death spiraled, and for people who bought the top, yes, it did really death spiral, understand that it's really still holding pretty strong so far. So I've been actually putting a lot into this and buying these lower levels. It's risky, and I don't encourage anyone who is already overextended to do the same. But that's my strategy, is to dollar cost average, because I believe this thing will pop back up to $1. I don't think it'll take too long. I think it'll happen within the course of a few weeks. And my hope is that by keeping buying in at these lower levels, I'll really offset any of the effect of this dip, because I was buying more when this thing was overextended because I thought this thing could keep going. And it's funny now because everyone, I believe, is feeling this, which is, of course, that everyone wants to buy it when it's a $1 stablecoin at $3. And that's, of course, not really fair because it's rebasing. And at that level, you're getting 20% gains every day. So that's why it's so attractive. And then nobody wants to buy the dip at 70 cents because there's a potential that you could lose a few percent each day just by nature of it being under $1. However, if it has from 70% to $1, right? I was buying this at about 65 cents last night pretty heavily because 65 cents to $1, that's a 35-cent increase on a 65-cent coin. That's more than 50% of the value for it to pop back up, which would mean that at that level, at 65 cents, it would have to rebase for like 2 or 3 weeks for for me to lose the same amount to offset that same coin just coming up to $1. So my math showed that I was really interested in getting this arbitrage opportunity just to offset those losses that were sustained. And in my opinion, it further shows that if this thing pops back up to $1 and goes bullish again, that buying the dip was really the right way to go about it, and that this dip was actually the perfect entry point. My video was poorly timed yesterday, but the ethos of the video, I believe, might still be proven out significantly with this bounce back from this dip. So that's the nature of crypto. Time analysis is almost impossible to do, explaining exactly when something will happen or when is the perfect time. And what I'll show you in a second is essentially the core team was selling their initial team tokens or the ecosystem tokens. Makes me feel like they just created a war chest of tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars, which would mean, in theory, if we're assuming that they have the best interest long-term of the project in mind, that there could be some serious growth for this project in the future. Again, like I'm saying, I'm not encouraging you to buy AMPL. I don't want you guys to overextend yourself. I'm sharing with you what I'm doing, the way I'm maneuvering this crazy market, and especially a project that I see as like a plutonium here in this market that is clearly bulling way harder than other projects and dumping way harder than other projects, which creates incredible trading opportunities, swing trading opportunities, arbitrage opportunities, and really in many senses makes it something that the powers that be in crypto land would want to keep getting their hands on for more cycles like this, running it up, dumping it down, buying it low, selling it high, shorting it, longing it, all the different things you can do with such a volatile asset. So I do believe that there is still a future for this coin significantly, which is why this mindset and this meme really speaks to the current moment, because as soon as it dumps, nobody wants it. When in reality, you should be trying to get it at lower market cap and under $1. And of course, this was even echoed by Michael Arrington, the founder of TechCrunch, who put out this Elmo meme. He said, "I was trying to explain the idea of the AMPL death spiral to someone the other day who didn't want to hear it. We lived through it last winter. It's a hell of a coin. When it moves, it really moves." And somebody said, "Do you think it can recover?" And he says, "Sure. With AMPL, nothing surprises me anymore. It's so interesting." And I really, really like this phrasing because that's what it is. This tokenomics model is novel, right? Everybody who's saying that, high interest staking is novel, I don't think it's as novel as this. I think elastic supply with daily rebasement is actually a different tokenomics model that is psychologically more rewarding. Of course, the flip side of that is it's psychologically more scary when it dumps, but psychologically more rewarding when it pumps, that I think it could really drag in a huge crowd because it has that feeling like you're getting paid out every day, even though you're really just owning the same percent of the network and the network's growing or contracting in value. Very similar to if you calculate your Bitcoin holdings against not the circulating supply, but the eventual total supply of 21 million, then essentially your ownership of the Bitcoin network never changes. Similarly, if you understand your percent of the total AMPL supply, that never changes either. However, the actual amount of coins in your wallet and the value of those coins, that does change. I still find it extremely interesting. And this dump and the change of sentiment that people had made me really feel like there is still an opportunity here. Based on what we know now, it looks like the big seller of AMPL over the last 2 weeks has been the quote ecosystem fund. And they've been selling 15 to 20 million tokens for at least $30 million, with the biggest transfer to KuCoin of 5 million AMPL right at the top, selling them at over $2.50 each. So 250 times 5, that gives you $12.5 million worth of AMPL sold just in that one transfer. And so this 23% of the ecosystem fund was supposed to be used to invest in other projects, encourage the developer community, create bounty programs, and drive marketing and develop business partnerships. So I'm not really sure if this is actually going in line with the way that they were supposed to be using this ecosystem fund. But for me, that's kind of frustrating, right? Because we were on a bull run, and so you're selling these funds. I don't understand why you couldn't just give these funds to people in AMPL. I'll link this Twitter post so you guys can investigate it yourself. They will literally have linear unlocks from today for the next 19 months. So this is going to be part of how these AMPL tokens are distributed. And we see that the ecosystem fund was almost a quarter of the total tokens. The treasury, 20%, I believe a lot of that has been deployed for things like the Geyser fund. Then we also have team and advisors, 25%. And then you have the IEO, which was only 10%, right? That's been the biggest negative about this project. The token supply is pretty centralized. And so up until this point, it looked like they were along for the ride. But now we've seen that when things get too overheated, when the price, for example, is above $2, I think the greed out there is not going to let this thing keep running. It's just too centralized of a token supply, unfortunately. So, I mentioned this as one of the drawbacks is that the team have too many tokens. However, this has now come to fruition. My strategy strategy going forward is that I'm going to be buying if these things dip really significantly. I think it'll be temporary. I think the market will bring this thing back up to $1 as it has every time before, because I've gotten all these cheap, very underpriced amples, if you were to call them that. I believe that I'll be sitting on enough gains that I can lessen my stack and not worry too much if the team were to dump again in the future. And hopefully the compounding nature of this token can just, I can set it and forget it. And maybe, in a couple of months or whatever, I'll check it and I'll see, a ton of new coins. That would be the best case scenario. The one thing I regretted back in the 2018 crash was that I didn't continually dollar cost average into some of the altcoins, because they eventually did have their pops. And if I would have bought them when they lost, 99% of their value, when they popped 10, 20, 30%, I would have been back in profit. And so that was my biggest regret from 2018, was that I didn't DCA enough into the alts that I liked, and I didn't get the chance to sell for profit when they eventually did pop again. So I believe AMPL has a future. It's very early in its life cycle. I believe that this dump is unfortunate, but it makes me realize that this team is probably going to do the same, right, as they unlock more and more tokens. And so finally, I wanted to talk directly to people who are using the Geyser, which I have not been using since I understood the concept of impermanent loss. Now, this is a very complex concept, so I'm going to try to explain it the best I can. When you deposit liquidity into the Geyser, you're depositing both AMPL and Ethereum. And in exchange, you're getting liquidity pool tokens. Now that liquidity pool has an equation that balances AMPL and Ethereum. So if one asset goes dramatically down in value while one goes dramatically up, the balance of how many Ethereum to how many AMPL in the pool are needed to balance that shifts. And in that shift, you can experience what they call impermanent loss, meaning it could shift back. It's not permanent, it's not realized, but in that moment, if you were to cash out, you can end up with less total value than you started with. I'm gonna link a video that I found pretty interesting here with Uniswap impermanent loss. They explain it, just how Uniswap liquidity pools work. I'm gonna link this video in the description of this video. This guy, it's about a 12.5-minute video, but I think you guys should watch this if you guys are staking on the Geyser. You need to understand that if Ethereum explodes in value and AMPL isn't able to recover in time, now we see Ethereum on the monthly breaking a 2-year downtrend if it can close this candle above this resistance. We're seeing that Ethereum could make some serious moves. It's worth knowing that this equation could lead to impermanent loss if you're staking in the Geyser. So AMPL fam, just keep that in mind. The AMPL apocalypse was upon us, and yet somehow the market cap is still stronger than when we covered it a few days ago. So what is my full takeaway and how am I moving forward? Well, my full takeaway is that this thing is absolutely out of this world as far as volatility. It pumps, I feel like, harder than any coin I've seen before, and that's because of the psychological aspect of rebasement. People are addicted to those daily payments. They want more and more and more. And that particular energy to me is even more powerful than when you see a big green number and you see that your token value goes up. I feel like it's even more exciting to see more and more tokens getting put in your wallet, even as the price is going up. And for that reason, I still find its tokenomics extremely exciting. I also feel like the opportunities for arbitrage are too good. And so the bigger forces here in crypto land will want to see this thing make some more runs so they can ride it up, short it on the way down, sell the tops, buy the bottoms, all the things that the really experienced money knows how to do. I think that there's going to be many future phases for this coin. However, I did not anticipate this violence in the chart. And I think for me, psychologically, I don't want to be holding on to as much AMPL as I currently have. So contrary to what you might think, I'm actually buying a lot of AMPL so I can eventually lessen my stack. And that's because I have multiple accounts. One account I'm still in the profit. The other account I'm slightly in the negative because I bought too recently. And so what I'm going to do is essentially buy these lower prices, do what people aren't doing, because I believe that that contrarian approach to projects like AMPL and other big ones that are sticking around, I believe that that has been proven statistically to work. But I still think this is a great project and I still think it has a future. So again, I encourage you guys, if you wanted to know how I was handling this throughout, I can't just film a video at midnight, and where I am here in Los Angeles, stuff was happening in the late hours. So if you are on my Telegram, if you're following me on Twitter, you'll get more up-to-the-minute thoughts on how I'm approaching this, on how I'm navigating. I even posted in the Telegram when I bought at 65 cents. And if you guys want that level of connection, I highly encourage you to jump in my Telegram. I believe that buying those low dips will eventually bring those accounts back into a seriously positive position, and that in general in crypto, you want to buy things when they're not hugely up, because price in general tends to correct. As always, I'm very curious, what do you guys think about AMPL at this time after this crazy event transpired? Do you still think that AMPL has what it takes to be a top performer here in crypto land, or are you guys sick of it? Can you not stomach the highs and the lows that is the Amplforth project? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, if this video brought you value, if you're excited to know how I'm handling this, then please do me a favor and smash the like. I try to be as transparent and give you all the information I have at my disposal when I have it. So I appreciate you smashing the like and showing both me and the YouTube algorithm that you enjoyed the content. Of course, if you guys are not subscribed to FUD TV, I encourage you to sub and put that bell notification on. That way you get the most up-to-the-minute information. And I'm gonna be doing my best not just to get single videos out, but actually more than one video out a day. So we'll see how I do at that. And I appreciate your guys' support by subbing, liking, commenting. You guys absolutely rock. Thanks again. I hope you guys enjoyed it. My name's Elio Trades, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.